Today we are making a chocolate pound cake. This recipe I am borrowing from the Brown-Eyed Baker. To start, we're going to get out a medium bowl into which we're going to put 1 cup of flour. Be sure to spoon your flour into your cup. Flour packs down so it's easy to add too much. To the flour, we're going to add a teaspoon of salt, and then I'm going to give that a stir. You can use a whisk, and then I'm going to set that aside. In a medium bowl, I'm going to put 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder, and I only had Hershey's Special Dark, so that's what I'm using. It gave an extra richness to this recipe. The recipe says to add 2 ounces of milk chocolate finely chopped. I am not a milk chocolate fan when it comes to baking, so I'm going to add a 1/3 cup of mini semi-sweet chocolate chips. And in the meantime, I've had some water heating up on the stove. We need to add a 1/3 cup of boiling water. So we're gonna add that right into our chocolate bowl. And don't make the mistake I made. Do not use a whisk. So stir your chocolate water mixture together using a spoon or a spatula. And the recipe says to stir until the chocolate is melted and there are dry streaks in the cocoa powder. That didn't make sense to me. All I did was I stirred it until everything was well combined. And at this point, I'm gonna pop in and say we need to have our oven preheated to 325 degrees. The recipe also tells us to, once you mix together your chocolate water mixture, to let that sit for 5 minutes. And I think that's just to cool it down before we start adding our next ingredients. But I didn't do that, and it worked out fine. This recipe also has us using a mixer. If you have been following my recipes at all, you will know that I don't have a mixer, so we are doing it by hand. It works out this way well too, so whichever you prefer. Our next ingredient is butter. We need 2 sticks or 1 cup of butter, softened. Next, I'm going to add 1 cup of white sugar. I use raw cane sugar. I think it brings really good flavor to your baked goods. I don't always. If I'm at Aldi and they have the Morena cane sugar, that's what I'll grab a bag of. Then we need a 1/4 cup of light brown sugar packed. If you only have dark brown sugar, that should work out just fine as well. And then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So go ahead and mix that all together until it's light and fluffy. If you're doing this by hand, sometimes your arm just gets tired. Actually, sometimes my arm just gets tired and I don't want to keep going until it's light and fluffy. And you know, the outcome might be a little bit better, but I just go with it. Mix everything together really well. You want to have a nice smooth batter. You don't want any clumps or lumps of butter. And because my chocolate, I didn't let it sit, it was still a little warm. I think that helped break down my butter a little easier, but it will be a pretty thick consistency at this point. So once you are done mixing your batter, it's time for our eggs. And this recipe calls for 5 large eggs, preferably room temperature, and mix them in one at a time. These eggs are going to make this pound cake quite moist. Once you have all of your eggs mixed in, it's time to add our flour mixture that we made at the start. So add that in 3 parts. So just slowly, making sure your flour mixture is well incorporated. And then our batter is done and it's time to put it into our baking pan. So today's baking pan is going to be a 9x5 loaf pan. I'm going to line mine with parchment paper, and my parchment paper is so malleable right now because I crumple it up into a ball, run it under water, wring out the water, shake off any extra, and then it's super easy to just place into your baking vessel. And so either if you line or grease your pan or both, go ahead and pour your batter into your baking pan. and we are told to tap it on the counter to get out any air bubbles. The recipe says to bake this chocolate pound cake for 1 hour to 1 hour and 10 minutes, rotating the pan halfway through. So I don't know if they put their pan in lengthwise or widthwise. I put mine in widthwise, and mine actually took 1 hour and 20 minutes to bake. And my theory is that the reason for that is because I use stoneware, and it might have taken longer for the stoneware, my stone bread pan, to heat up. Either way, check your pound cake at 1 hour. Use a cake tester, a toothpick. I used a butter knife. You want your butter knife to come out clean or with just some breadcrumbs on, like you saw mine had. You don't want any wet batter to still be on your bread knife, but also you don't want to over bake your pound cake because then it can become dry super easily. So either way, however long your recipe takes, take your bread out, leave it in its pan for 10 minutes, and then take it out and put it onto a wire rack to finish cooling. And then you can slice it and enjoy it. I would recommend finding a chocolate ganache recipe to put over the top of this pound cake. That would have just made it all the better. I will leave the link to the original recipe along with all of the ingredients and instructions down below for you guys to check out. If this looks delicious, please give this video a big thumbs up. Share it with someone you think who would like it. If you guys are looking for more delicious recipes, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so that you're notified when I drop my next video. And if you guys are interested in a plain pound cake recipe, go ahead, click this video here on screen, and I will see you guys there.